Hello my friends, welcome very much. Now some of you may remember in a recent video, or fairly recent video, I mentioned that my good friend Exeter Rider had an admission to make. And that's what this video is about, so let's go across to Exeter Rider now.
Now this is a little story about when I borrowed his Royal Himalayan, or the Witch as it's called, and there's been something which I haven't been telling you, and that he respectively kept a bit quiet for reasons which you'll find out.
So did he get a speeding ticket? Did he run a red light on my bike? Is he finally admitting to kidnapping el hombre pequeño? Did he rob a bank on my bike?
Now, to cut a long story short, Saddle had to send his bike in for a service at CMS in Exeter. Now, he didn't have no way of getting back. They couldn't loan him a bike to get back the same day or whatever. And so I said, oh, you can borrow my BMW, which is, you know, I can trust him with that, and he can trust his bike with me, kind of. Anyway, so we swapped bikes. I had the Witch for a week, and on the last day I decided to take it out for a bit of a run and do the final walk round and etc. So it's quite a wet day, damp day, and I decided to come down here, down the quay, Exeter Quay, where I was going to do the walk round. Now, as you can see here, although the curb isn't in the best of nick,
I think you can all see where this is going, can't you?
when I was looking at it and scanning it, it did seem like it was safe to get up as long as I tipped the bars in at last minute. We got a raise there of about 15 mil, I would say, on that curb. It's a very shallow curb. I've been up it hundreds of times and never had a problem. But in this case, this happened. Yeah, so what had actually happened there was I came down from that direction there, and obviously I was scanning this narrow curb, and without the water being there, now you can't really see what it was like. But anyway, I was scanning it, all fine. Yeah, I can get up there, no problem at all. Guess where I decided to enter the curb. So what had happened was I had brought the bike along. Looks like so many others have done the same thing by the looks of the curb there. So that's what I was looking at, that high. Obviously it was the actual gully was filled up with water at the time, although I could still see the bottom of the, you know, this bit of concrete here.
So he goes on for quite some time now, I mean quite some time, about how it happened, etc. Perhaps you could just tell us how high the curb was, ER.
Well, that must be about 80 millimetres, I reckon. 8 centimetres, somewhere around there.
Of course, I was bloody furious.
He was an absolute gem about it.
Oh, come on. Look at him. How could I be angry?
Anyway, handed the bike back to Saddle. Well, yeah, I'll tell you what happened. He actually come up my house, and it was a bit of a strange situation, as he'll tell you.
Well, I arrived at Exeter Rider's house as arranged. I spun his bike around on his homemade turntable, which was brilliant actually. Anyway, Mrs. Exeter Rider popped her head out and said, oh, he's just gone to meet you. I thought, well, okay, that's strange. So I can't remember if I texted or I called him, and he came back to me and he said, do you know your way to CMS? And well, I'm a country bumpkin and Exeter's a big place. So no, frankly, I didn't know the way to CMS from where I was. So he said, don't worry, give me 10 or 15 minutes, I'll come and meet you. we'll go down there. And I thought, well, that's a bit odd. I mean, we're only here to swap the bikes back. Anyway, he came up and met me and asked me to follow him back to CMS.
And what I had to do was I had to buy him new handguards, and I chipped in, and still don't know to this day whether it's the right amount. I chipped in for new crash bars as well, which he's got, bought some Givey crash bars.
Actually, I told him not to worry about it. The handguard was just scuffed, and I said that's likely to happen in the lanes at some point anyway, and I was going to change the engine bars at some point. But he was having none of it. It didn't matter what I said. There was nothing I could say or do was going to change his mind. He insisted on replacing the parts that he damaged.
Anyone who knows Saddle on a personal level will know, firstly, that he is exactly the way he is on camera, and he's just nothing short of a wonderful person. I mean, if it was him and he bent my BMW, I would have been exactly the same, and I would have dealt with it the same way. He was an absolute gem and said, oh, don't worry about it, blah 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 blah.
Now, he was absolutely devastated. Honestly, it was written all over his face. I actually felt quite sorry for him at the time, but he was just dead unlucky. Where he turned in on that curb, that could have happened to any one of us. I'm just glad he didn't hurt himself. I mean, it's a low speed off, I know, but it doesn't take a lot to bust a scaphoid or a collarbone even. And for a working man, yeah, goes without saying, doesn't it?
But of course, it is still horrible when it happens, and you still, no matter how somebody is good back to you, you're just forever thinking about it. I struggled with it. I still struggle with it a bit for now. I mean, I've looked at the crash footage a couple times. Well, crash footage is a bit of a strong word, but it's not far off that, is it? But I've looked at the footage only 2 times now, and it's hard for me to watch, and I wanted him to have the video, of course, because it was at the end of the day his bike that I had bent. Right, so I'll hand you back to Saddle now and let him finish off the video.
Okay, now stop beating yourself up over it, ER. It was tremendously generous of you to lend me your bike for the week. I'll always be very grateful for that. What happened on that particular day, that was just, as I said earlier, dead unlucky. Could have happened to anybody, and I'm sure that anybody that is watching feels exactly the same. Now, I would just like to take this opportunity to say thank you very much, ER, for all your help in the past. For those of you watching, YouTube is a bit of a minefield. It's very difficult to get your head around at the beginning, and Exeter Rider has helped me from way back then, and he continues to help me today. So thank you very much, my friend. That's a heartfelt thank you. And for the rest of you, as always, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, take care. Ciao for now. Bye bye.
We'll ride the road together.